All right, just got out of the bank and we signed up for a business account. So now officially all of the finances and the money will be separate. So whenever I'm doing my accounting, I obviously can clearly designate now what sort of I put into it myself and then what the business is accounting for. So really excited to kind of clean up some of those finances early on. So that was good. They were so kind in the bank. I know I tried to do this before and there was a couple other things that I needed to have, but got that registered, got that signed up. And so even the debit card of the business will be coming in about 7 to 10 days. And so we'll be able to even make all those purchases with it. So one more step to make this kind of feel like an official organization. We'll see. Hey everybody, I've been sitting here at my computer for a couple hours. I'm getting my spreadsheets kind of reworked. I'm adding a lot more specificity to the different columns. I'm trying to clarify how the money's going in, how the money's coming out. I'm definitely, I'm bifurcating the debit and cash of the business as well as the debit and cash of me, the owner of the money that I put in. Just really trying to think forward for, future taxes, future end of the year. I just want everything to be as clear and as precise as it can be. So I've been here for a couple hours working through that. What I'm going to do now, though, is I am now going to update the inventory. So I've followed pretty closely, but I'm going to look at every single book, make sure that I know exactly how many books I have, because now that I'm doing a better job at the sales of recording which books are going out, I'll just be able to keep a current number. And that's what that inventory wants to do. I want to know, at the end of the year, of course, I want to know how many books I brought in, and I want to know how many books I brought out. So that's sort of the thought process with it. And yeah, so I'm going to now go through it and update the inventory. Hello everybody, I just recorded an incredible video and I felt like I was charming, I felt like I was witty, felt like I was funny, and yeah, definitely did not hit the record button. So I got a little practice run in, but let me tell you now what I thought I told you about 4 minutes ago. Just got back from used bookstore, and this entire stack here is not something that I purchased. This was all given to me from a follower of the bookstore, and it's mostly romantasy books. Now, that's something that I've not really targeted so far, and that's not because I'm for or against it. It's just the sense that I bring my own bias to looking for books. And I'm very thankful when people donate books because it puts books onto the shelves that I probably would have overlooked or I just wouldn't have been drawn to. And I try to think outside of what I would enjoy. So that's why sort of the quality of top authors, as well as, well, frankly, covers that really look engaging are things that I am drawn to, because if I'm drawn to it, if I don't know about it, I imagine someone else probably would be as well. I don't know what genre specifically attracts people, but if the quality is good, it looks really sharp, and it's a big name, I mean, I can't be hurting myself. So I got back from used bookstore where I did buy books way more than I thought I was going to. But the reason why is because I found a number of first books in the series. And I really do try to get #1 books in series or standalones, because if you show up and there's a 3, there's a 4, sure, it's going to be a good deal, but it's not the first book in the series. And why would you buy a third book in the series, even if it was a good deal? You'd have to go find the first book somewhere. So I do try to look for the ones on the spines. This one is not a first book, but it is Sarah J. Maas, and it is from, obviously, anything that she is going to produce, we are going to grab as fast as humanly possible. It's actually my first Sarah J. Maas book. And yeah, even though this is not the first book, I would have been a fool to walk by and leave this on the shelf. So excited to get that on the bookshelf. I imagine, even though that is not book #1, that will go rather quickly. Here is one that I found, and it's from a series I wasn't really familiar with, a really good-sized book. A Crown for Gold Silver. For cold silver? A Crown for Cold Silver. definitely thought that was a G this entire time. When I'm looking for, obviously, publishers, Orbit Fantasy is one that's very, very big when it comes to fantasy books. So when I saw this was on like a shelf that someone had taken off and put back and didn't want it, you know, one of those sort of discard shelves. And so when I saw it, I was like, ooh, that's a really catchy cover. Ooh, it's a #1. It's Orbit Fantasy. Yeah, we're taking it. So excited to get that on it. This one is obviously 2 editions of the same book, but The Hobbit. Anytime we're going to see anything Tolkien, we're going to grab it very quickly. And so, yes, I imagine those won't stick around for too long. Obviously, it's not #1 in the trilogy, but it is the prequel to The Lord of the Rings. Big name here. George R. R. Martin here. Game of Thrones. This is actually the first Game of Thrones that I found at my local bookstore that I frequent, and they get a lot of new books in very regularly, and so I always go in immediately the days that they are open. The days that they're not open, they are processing all of their donations. So when they're open, I try to run in there, go right to my key spots, and yes, found this great quality edition of Game of Thrones. So excited to get that on the shelf. Do have Anne of Green Gables, #1, obviously, by L.M. Montgomery. I forget her name. I know Maud is the M. What does the L stand for? I don't remember. Let me know in the comments if you're watching this far. So yeah, I have book 2 and 3 of the Anne of Green Gables series, but didn't have Anne of Green Gables. So excited to get that in my children's and YA. This is not a fantasy, but Ken Follett's book 1 of the Century Trilogy, Fall of Giants. I read this book, and even though I am not a fast reader, I'm actually probably a little bit more of a slow reader. I felt like I was buzzing through this book because his prose are so readable. They are so engaging. And this book, I mean, obviously not this edition or like this copy of the book, but I've sold this book, I think 2 or 3 times now, and it feels like every time it's there, this is one that goes. So anytime I see it at a used bookstore or somewhere, I grab it, especially if it's a really sharp copy. So Fall of Giants by Ken Follett. But yeah, I bought like 16 books. A bunch of them were #1s in the series. And so really excited, continuing to get these things plugged in, to continue to get these things locked into the spreadsheet. I've not punched any of these in yet, I don't believe. This entire stack that I have on my desk here. We're at 337 books, so right around that 350 to 400 is kind of what I'm targeting. And yeah, excited. So I'm gonna get these punched in, and we'll look forward to getting back with you guys in a little bit later. Thank you. Hey everybody, it's about 9:30 at night. I'm here back at my house, and just thinking about the bookstore a little bit, thinking through some of the challenges. I am just so thankful for Southern Streams Coffee House that has given me that sort of foot in the door. I've at least got some avenue for revenue coming in to begin recouping some of these costs. But the big one, the big hurdle that I'm going to have to get over soon is multiple locations. Like, I need more opportunities. I've pretty much double messaged all of the local coffee shops in my area. I've sent one message to a coffee shop that at least I'm somewhat familiar with, about 30 minutes away, if not closer to 40, that I wouldn't mind driving to if they would give me a chance. There's a coffee shop that I did get a positive feedback, but not from the coffee shop, from a silent book club that meets at the coffee shop. And what they do is they come together for 2 hours, and the first, I think it's 3 hours. Like, the first 30 minutes is chat, hang out, drink some coffee, have a good time. Then they read for about an hour to an hour and a half. And then kind of like the last 30 minutes is, talk about what you read, hang out again, say goodbye. And so a silent book club. So I actually talked to somebody who ran their Instagram page, I think it was, and they offered for me to come out at the end of the month of June, which we're coming up on it, to be one of the focus vendors for that. So definitely going to try to take advantage of that. So again, that'll be cool. That'll be great. That'll at least be a second one, but that doesn't seem to be like a regular thing. I mean, we'll see, depending on how it goes, conversations we have, maybe some connections we make. People may be super excited about it.
But yeah, again, it's just a matter of I need to have some other opportunities. So if there are ideas, if there are thoughts that you have that you think would be good fits, I've been putting posts out on social media. I've been sending messages just to local entities, just trying to get a conversation, trying to get my foot in the door. Yeah, that would be super, super cool. And again, the reason why these pop ups seem to be a really smart thing is not just because the inventory is small, not just because I'm trying to learn the economics and the functionality of sales and bookkeeping and stuff like that. That's pretty not obvious, but that's pretty intuitive. It's the fact that we don't have that nest egg. I'm trying to make this as little input as possible. We don't have that financial nest egg yet that's going to turn a profit. Like, I'm not just going to go sign a lease for some brick and mortar place with no financial nest egg and with no regular means of income from the bookstore. Like, I need to have at least some type of cash flow, more than just weekly. Like, for now, if that's what it has to be, that's what it has to be. But we'll see. I'd at least like to get two, like one during the week, for instance, and then one on like a Saturday. If it turned into like a Friday, Saturday, that's fine. That'd be whatever. But like, I would like to get that second day. And so that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of sort of the hurdle. That's one of the frustrations. It's, I can do all the prep, but like, I can't invite myself somewhere, right? I can't be that person. There's a couple, as we get into the fall, there's a couple markets that I think I could qualify for. Some of those have to be like products that you make. And I think I could really like beef up my blind adventures with books. And those could very much be artsy, craftsy, because again, I'm not making the book, but I am making the packaging. I am making the gift that is the blind adventure. And I could really make those super cool. I think that'll work when we get to the fall. And I'd love to beef up that inventory. Several hundred of those would be so cool. And just at some of these like fall markets, just be one of those vendors and make some sales. That'd be a huge boost to end the year. Winter is another thing that I'm definitely thinking about coming up. I mean, we're in the middle of summer right now. That's fine. Weather's going to be great for several months, but what is winter going to look like? At Southern Streams Coffee House, where again, they've just been such a great partner. They do have an indoor option. They have kind of two large seating areas. One I think would be better. Obviously, we wouldn't have the tent, but we could bring the bookshelves in, the sales table. I think we could fit in a pretty unassuming place that would be indoors, but that is something that I'll need to begin considering. What will the winter months look like? Because you're not really popping up outside. I mean, I guess you could. Where I live, it's not like it gets terribly, terribly cold. It's not like it's in Michigan. I live in North Carolina. So winters are usually pretty mild. But, you know, just thinking, trying to forecast, because I was talking about weather. So that's sort of where I'm at. Again, I'd love your thoughts. I'd love your perspectives. I'm going to stop rambling now. But how do you make those connections? How do you get your foot in the door? Because again, I'm targeting the coffee shops because that's where I'd like to grow the business into. But are there corporations that I'm not thinking of? Let me know. And yeah, we'll continue on with trying to make this work. Try to increase the cash flow. We'll see. Good morning, everybody. It is about 6:18. We're heading out to load up. It was raining last night, so I couldn't get all the boxes and books and shelves into the truck, but looks like a beautiful morning. The weather was threatening all week, but I think everything's going to clear up, and looks like we're going to have a pretty nice day. So I'll check back in with you in a bit, but excited to see what the day holds. So last video, I talked about how I had sort of like a number mark that I was trying to hit, maybe a books number that I was trying to hit as far as sales. And this week I'm not feeling that same pressure. I don't think it's because I'm like discouraged or anything. I think it's because I kind of now am visualizing the new goal. And it's funny, but what has really helped solidify that vision is actually opening up the business account and just sort of being able to now see that base number grow with every deposit that I put in. When everything is hypothetical, when it's just sales, forgive me, when it's just purchases, when I'm starting out, and it just feels like every time I'm registering a number, every time I'm logging in the Excel spreadsheet, I'm putting in like a net loss because I'm buying books, I'm buying shelves, I'm buying whatever. Having the account open, being able to see, oh no, the last several sales I've been able to put deposits in, and sort of, not that I have any profits yet, but I can see how the more that final number grows, I know how close I am to recouping my initial investments. And then yes, everything will be profit at that point. So that's kind of the goal. It seems like each time I've sold right around, sorry, I'm gonna block my camera there for a second, but I've sold right around 50 books and I've sold right around 200 bucks. So I'd like to hit the 50 book mark, and I'd like to hit the $200 mark. With 200 bucks, we'll just keep slowly chipping away that initial investment, and yeah, we'll see what happens from it. But I'm excited about the weather. Again, I mentioned earlier that it was supposed to rain, and so it looks like it's gonna be a pretty mild day, but it's blue skies, and excited to see where the day takes us. So I'll check back in when I'm getting the truck all loaded up. We're all packed up. This is getting a little cumbersome. Granted, things were okay until we added this table. Now look at that old thing. I think it's like 400 pounds. It's fine. I'm really gonna look forward to getting that up there. At the end of the day, we're definitely gonna put it somewhere else, but you know, it's the morning, we're fine. But this is a 6-foot table, so I think I'm definitely gonna need to pick myself up one of the nice plastic folding 6-foot table. But yeah, we're ready to go. Let's head over to the coffee shop. All right, we just pulled in. Things are very quiet. 5th Avenue right here. I love this little square. It's so great.
Golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get to the other side. Sinking in, I know this feels right. Catching a breeze, love moving through me like a wildfire, like a wildfire.
everybody, checking in real quick. It is about 9:45, so I've been open, for an hour and a half now. And yeah, I have probably like twice as many, last week, my first sale was at 9:30. 9:45, I already have like 7 or 8 sales. So people are out a little earlier today. Now, it is warmer today. So I'm wondering if those that are prepared, sorry, that's just me waving at random people. I'm wondering if people are planning to get out a little earlier because they know it's going to be warm. That being said, it's going to be warm today. So I'm guzzling water, and hopefully we're making some sales. We'll see. I'll check back in a bit. All right, I'm still sitting here. It is 12:46, and I was getting a little concerned. I was getting a little nervous. We started really strong. You'll remember that. I just said that. And then we went for about an hour and a half of nothing. And it was around 11:50 when finally we made like total, we sold like, about 7 or 8 books in the 11 o'clock hour. Now we're into the 12 o'clock hour, and we've sold 2 so far. So we're doing all right. We're up to 19 sales. That's really what I wanted to focus on. So I've been averaging, right around 45 to 50. So I kind of need to do 20 to 25 from opening to noon and then noon to 4. So we're following closely. This classical music has just put me to sleep out here. But one of the nice things about it is that I do get to sit here for hours on end. And I was writing a paper. And so I got the entire paper written while I was sitting here. So that's handy. It's called multitasking. But yeah, things are going well. I was getting a little nervous there, but we seem to be back on track. So I'll check back in here in a little bit. Just had a very kind man pop in, and he was talking about how much he loves books. And sorry, I just turned my radio down. He was talking about how much he loves books, how many books he has that he hasn't read. So he was just asking about the idea, the bookshop, and was like, that is such a cool idea. Well, I wish you so much luck. I'm probably not going to buy anything today. I've got a lot that I still need to read. I said, no problem. Thanks for stopping in. And he just sort of hung around. And, you kind of get the feel I feel like these individuals are coming to buy books here. And yeah, sure enough, he walked away with 3. So we love book people. They're the best. A kind man just dropped off a box of books. So a lot of nonfiction, but we got some interesting biographies. What about Babe Ruth, World War II? Amazing. Thank you. Everybody, welcome to the screen here, and here are the results from the sale. I was encouraged in the sense that it was a slower day, as I had sort of mentioned through the video, and you'll see that sales, so last sale, let me pull this up, so this is the last week. You can see that my first sale came at 9:25. So really, I had like 3 blind adventures and 1 book sale before 9:25 this week. So, I mean, I was feeling really good starting, and then it definitely slowed down to where you got 11, 11:50, 12:03, and it slowed down just throughout the day. The actual coffee shop itself, I was talking to some of those workers, and they were kind of commenting why it was on how it was a little bit of a slower day. So once it was going, and about here, when I sold Michael Crichton, the dinosaur book. It's a mystery, and I don't remember the title of it, but it has a big picture of a dinosaur on it, so that was the one I sold. When about that sale happened, I was hoping, like, if I can get to 100 today, I'm going to be feeling pretty good. So we ended up bringing in 147, 142 after some fees. Again, I've been using Square. I had a conversation with my bank about their point of sale system, and while the deals are good for what they offer and the seamlessness of no transfer fees and the personal touch of your account holders and things, and you can go talk to them down the road, the cost of the upfront cost as well as the hardware for the actual point of sale system, it's really just not obviously a wise decision at this point. Though Square is taking, I mean, they took about $5 fees. Again, that's not what I want, but the ease of it, there's no payment, there's no monthly subscription. If you have other options or suggestions, let me know. It's one that I'm familiar with. Obviously, it's very, very popular. It's what I've been using. I like the tap feature that I can tap on my phone. I like things of that. I like, obviously, the card swipe that I have. If I need that, most cards all tap now. And if not, most people have tap on their phone, which is actually the most quickly connecting to my phone. When I hold my phone up for tap, it immediately goes through. Sometimes when someone's paying with their card, we kind of have to turn the card a little bit to get the right angle. I don't really know why they don't always just go through, but enough about Square. 142.26 we brought in. So the book sale, you can see we sold 34 books, and yeah, I mean, 50 is what I was wanting. That's kind of what we brought in about last time. And so, yeah, that would have certainly been more. But, it is what it is. There's going to be days that are fast. There's going to be days that are slow. I'm thankful that I was right around 150, and I can't really complain about that. So let me bring you over to the inventory real quick. So I've not updated it yet as far as what the sales go, but kind of got the total down there. Let me zoom out a little bit. Obviously, we're not going to read it, but this is kind of where we were last time before we started. So right around 377 books. Costs, let's bring up sales. That'll be interesting, because costs, what was cool this past week about costs is that I actually didn't spend any money on the costs. So all of the books were there. I think that's true. Yeah. So all of the books that were donated this past weekend, while I was at the coffee shop, I was able to put into the Blind Adventures. No, that's not true, because of that video. So yes, so the only costs were that trip to the Friends of the Library. That's right, the trip to the Friends of the Library when I got a lot of number ones in the series. That's correct. But other than that, there wasn't any input, which is really exciting. And I did sell some of those number ones, which was cool. The Blind Adventures are still the most novelty item, and I'm just really content with it. So, I mean, I was thinking even while I was sitting there, like, how can I make these more attractive? But really for the cost of what they are, as well as the cost that I put into it, it's just really is a good deal. So I'm going to keep going with those. But here you go. Here's the sale. So the third pop-up that we had, 34 books we sold. The gross was $73 that we brought in with that. Obviously, once we transferred it over, 68, and then cash payments 74. So here's our total that we've brought in thus far. So 534 we've made off of profit. And yeah, so can't really complain about that. I'm going to do a detailed breakdown, I think, later of some other things, but let's let that suffice. I was encouraged this week, pop-up number 3, and so let me jump back over to my phone and I'll make a few final comments. All right, let's wrap up this week 3 sale. And as I was putting some of the clips together, I was watching back through the ones that I put in, and I probably should have done that a little bit more clearly when I was doing the financial, because I had forgotten that I had gone shopping this past week. But it's fun to go through the week and sort of remember what was done as I kind of scroll back through my videos. It was great that I was able to open up my banking account. It's been fun just to kind of actually make those deposits. I've got the deposit from this past week as far as cash goes, ready to go. Monday morning, I'm recording this on a Sunday afternoon. So tomorrow morning, I'll drop off at the bank and get that deposited and, keep hopefully watching that number grow. That's kind of the goal with it. And then of course the wrapping and the filing. Let me put it this way. The Excel spreadsheet, when I showed you the entire inventory of the book, that at this point is not really necessary. So what I think I don't know, because I like having just sort of a current number of where we're at, but I don't think I'm going to keep doing that, even though it looks clean, even though it feels right. And if you have comments about this, let me know. It feels right to have all of the books that I currently have, but all I really need to know with the small volume that I'm doing, I need to know for tax purposes how much I purchased. So like I bought 15 books, for instance, and I need to know for each sale how many went out. So this past week I bought 35 books, but I sold 42. That's what I need to know, and I need to know the costs of that. So the reason why I bring that up is because that's probably the biggest time committer at this point, is filing all the books only to just delete them when I sell them. So really the value of it is interest for me, knowing how many books I have at any given moment. And that's interesting, but that is not really what I need. So I think I'm going to kind of stop doing that. We'll see. But as far as the actual sales of where we're at, we've made $534 on it. Of course, we are recouping those initial investments still, and we're going to be doing that for a little while. But it was, again, so let's kind of get back to summarizing what we just kind of watched. It was fun this time, meeting a lot of first-time people that were there at the pop-up shop. So there were certainly, there's kind of 4 or 5, not families, but either an individual or a couple that are definitely repeat offenders, can I call them that? So I'm very thankful for them who keep coming back week in and week out. It's been nice to kind of get to know those individuals, chat for a couple minutes. But I did have a number of first-time people today, which was cool. One lady in particular, she was a sweet older lady. And again, I should have probably watched this, but she took a business card and she asked if she could go down to a local coffee shop nearby and sort of brag on the bookshop and tell them that I need to come down and pop up for them. And I was like, do you want 2 cards? So I don't know how that conversation went, if that conversation happened, but those are kind of the fun things, because yeah, I would like to get a second day throughout the week when I'm going somewhere. So that would definitely be the next thing. I'd love to kind of double the income coming in at this point. But we'll see. The only sort of snafu we hit, you saw that on the time lapse, was that as I was tearing things down, it turned from very sunny, and I started to hear like the thunder, and then the trees started blowing, and then the rain started coming, and then boy, did the rain start coming. So thankfully no books were damaged. Those big tubs are actually pretty waterproof. So I tested it this week, and I didn't really want to do that. And once I kind of finished, what I thought I should have done is just sort of back the truck up under the pop-up tent and waited it out, because it was going to blow over before too long. But, you live and learn. So I cleaned the stuff off. Definitely needed to go home and get a shower after that, because I was all wet and chaotic. But a good week, a week where I think we made progress. We're continuing to now just build the business, build the name recognition, build the customers, and continue to sort of keep understanding the process. So thank you for watching. Thank you so much for those of you who have been invested, who have helped, who have come, who have purchased, who have donated. I really do appreciate this probably going to keep this cycle going until we get the next break, right? I'd love to be able to snap my fingers and have everything I want, but we're trying to do this in the most cost-efficient manner. We're being patient with it, and we'll see where we go in the future. So if you are enjoying it, let me know. If you have comments and suggestions, put them down in the comments. You can like and subscribe if you are interested. And thank you again from Benjamin's Book Company, signing out for week 3, the pop-up and all of the things leading up to it. We'll get back together next week.